Pauline Bonaparte was Napoleon's little sister, but was also one of France's most scandalous princesses. She was known to be extremely beautiful and to have truly loved her brother, Napoleon. Pauline was born on October 20th, 1780, in Corsica. She was the sixth surviving child of Carlo Bonaparte and his wife Letizia. Carlo was the representative of Corsica to Louis XVI's court in France. Pauline was known to be Napoleon's favorite sister. Napoleon would go on to say that he and Pauline were the most spoiled of their siblings. Both siblings would grow to be very proud of their pretty hands. Pauline was not given a formal education. One poet wrote that Pauline was always talking inconsequentially, laughing at nothing and at everything. She contradicted the most serious people and put her tongue out at her sister-in-law when Josephine wasn't looking. Pauline was not known to be a very learned or witty woman, but was known for her extraordinary beauty. A contemporary wrote of her looks and of her devotion to her brother. Pauline was as handsome as it is possible to be. She was in love with herself, and her only occupation was pleasure. Of amiable character and extreme good nature, Napoleon entertained a different sentiment for her from that with which he regarded the rest of his family. Pauline, he had often told me, Pauline never asks me for everything. The Princess Borghese, on her side, used to say, I do not care for crowns. If I had wished for one, I should have had it, but I left that taste for my relations. She had a veneration for Napoleon which almost amounted to worship. After their father, Carlo, died in 1785, everything went wrong for the Bonapartes. They were so low on funds that Letizia and her daughters resorted to washing clothes for money. However, this brief stint of poverty came to an end. As her brother rose to prominence in the French army, he introduced Pauline to Louis-Marie Stanislas Ferron. Napoleon intended for them to marry, and both were happy to do so, but Pauline's mother, Letizia, objected to the match, so Napoleon had her married to General Charles Leclerc, though she was still in love with Stanislas. Pauline and Leclerc had a son, whom Napoleon named Dermide Louis Napoleon Leclerc. Saint-Domingue, modern-day Haiti, had been a French colony for quite a while, but had recently been rebelling against the French, so Napoleon, now first consul of France, sent his brother-in-law Leclerc to serve as Governor-General of Haiti. Pauline and her son went with him. The 45-day trip was very tiring for the family. Pauline was not too amused with her new life away from Europe, but used her time to create a menagerie of native animals. She also took many lovers during her time in Haiti. However, the weather took a toll on her health, and she was miserable, even having suffered a spell of yellow fever. After she recovered, she continued to take lovers and gained a reputation for her promiscuity. Her husband asked her to return to Paris, and she said she would on the condition that he gave her 100,000 francs. When he said no, she said, "Here I reign like Josephine, I hold first place." Josephine, of course, being the wife of Napoleon. Her miserable stay in Haiti came to an end when Leclerc fell ill in 1802 and died, possibly of yellow fever. His remains, Pauline and her son Dermide, returned to Paris. She wrote to her brother upon her arrival, saying that she was truly unhappy. Rumors spread that she had secretly brought back gold extracted from the indigenous peoples of Haiti in Leclerc's sarcophagus. Living with her brother Joseph and mourning her husband as she had to left Pauline bored, according to her. Napoleon and Pauline both didn't see any use in her remaining a widow for long. Her brother considered many possible husbands for Pauline, eventually settling on the candidate suggested by the Pope's envoy, Camillo Borghese, 6th Prince of Sulmona, a Roman nobleman. They were married in 1603, less than a year after Leclerc's death. Napoleon, still a year away from becoming emperor, believed that this marriage would consolidate ties with the French-occupied Italy. Pauline's brothers, Joseph and Lucien, convinced her to agree to the match. Pauline hated her new life in Italy and continued to take lovers. Her brother wrote that if she did not conform to the manners and customs of the city of Rome and get along with her husband, she would not be welcome in Paris. Pauline's health deteriorated, so her husband thought they should visit the baths of Pisa for her to recuperate. She wanted to bring her son Dermide with her, but her husband didn't think it was a good idea. Dermide died while Pauline and her husband were away, and Pauline blamed her husband for it, turning their mutual dislike into hatred. A few months later, in 1804, Pauline attended her brother's coronation as Emperor of France, though she did not want to carry the train of her sister-in-law, Josephine, as she disliked the Empress. She and her brother had a brief rift due to her hatred of Napoleon's second wife, Marie-Louise of Austria. In 1806, Napoleon made Pauline the Princess and Duchess of Guastalla. One person said of this new appointment for Pauline, "It is small, no doubt, but even a molehill is too much for the Princess Borghese to administer." She sold the duchy to Parma soon after for 6 million francs, but kept the title of Princess of Guastalla. Her husband commissioned a statue of her, for which Pauline posed nude as Venus Victrix. The artist, Antonio Canova, was originally supposed to sculpt her as the chaste goddess Diana, and of course, she was to be fully clothed. But Pauline laughed at the idea. When asked if she really did pose nude in front of Canova, she said that it was far too warm in the room to pose fully clothed, and that it was fine, since Canova was not a real man. In the sculpture, Pauline holds an apple, symbolizing Aphrodite's triumph in the judgment of Paris. When Napoleon was defeated for the first time and was exiled to Elba, Pauline liquidated her assets and moved to the island to be with her brother. She helped him pay for everything and was his close companion during the lonely year on Elba, well, more like 10 months. Napoleon once again invaded France to take back his lost throne. The Bourbon monarch fled and Napoleon once again became Emperor of France. Though she wanted to be with him, Pauline was unable to. Following Napoleon's final defeat at Waterloo and his subsequent exile to the more secluded island of St. Helena, Pauline moved to Rome, where she and her mother stayed under the protection of Pope Pius VII. There she met Pauline Bonaparte, the spurned wife of her brother Jerome, whom you can learn more about in my video about her, and her son, Beau. Pauline left her nephew a generous amount in her will. Pauline Bonaparte wrote of her, "Her modes of existence are magnificent, although capricious and spoiled by adulation, which in a beautiful woman and a princess is very natural." Once Pauline heard of her brother's failing health, she sent a request to visit her brother to the British Prime Minister, but she was too late. News of Napoleon's death over a month before Pauline's request hadn't yet reached her. Pauline lived in a villa called the Villa Paulina after her, which she decorated in the Egyptomania style. Her husband lived with his mistress in Florence, a thing which didn't upset Pauline all too much. However, as she felt her death drawing near, she had the Pope persuade her husband to return to her. 3 months later, Pauline died at the Palazzo Borghese on June 9, 1825 at the age of 44, possibly of tuberculosis, and is buried in Rome.